down here in Texas. I was just looking for something to do, and a buddy of mine his sister was dating a bull rider, and just so happened one day I was visiting, and her boyfriend, later to be husband, was there, and we just kind of got to talking, made friends, and I found out what he did, and I thought, well, that'd be something I'm interested in. I want to do that, and I told him. He said, well, I'm going this weekend. Come with me. So I did, and became, baptism by fire, so to speak, a bull rider. And then did that for a number of years into my late teens, early 20s, and all over Texas and the rodeo circuits here in Texas, up in Oklahoma, out in Louisiana. And rough lifestyle, fun lifestyle, physical lifestyle, rough lifestyle. And I learned to play guitar when I was 19 while I was healing from one of my many injuries sustained while on the rodeo circuit. I had broken a variety of bones, my hand, wrist, and I had a cast on my right hand, my strumming hand, but uniquely my thumb was sticking out of the cast, and so I just kind of, my brother was musically inclined, and he had a guitar laying around the house, and I just kind of picked up that guitar and learned to play that with a George Strait songbook for a couple of weeks, and fell in love with it. And after that, rodeos took a back seat. College kind of, I was still going to college. I continued to go to college for a little while at least. But music became all that was my main focus. That's all I wanted to do. And so I guess around that time, that was in what was that, 2000, 2001, 2002, I ended up touring all over Texas. So instead of being on a rodeo circuit all over Texas, I kind of got in the bar circuit, the Opry circuit, all over Texas a couple of times, even up into Oklahoma. Went out to Louisiana a good amount of times. Might have even stumped my toe and stumbled into Arkansas a few times, but basically did get my chops and figure out what I was doing, because I wasn't used to standing up on stage with a guitar or in front of a microphone. But I did that for the next couple of years as I was finishing up college. And in 2004, after doing that, after feeling confident enough, I left Dallas. And I moved to Nashville, and that was awesome. And Nashville, man, is a different animal, because everybody out there is just the best. Everybody out there is the best at music from wherever they came from. And there's people there from not just all over the country, but all over the world. And everybody there was the best in their city or the best in their town. And it's just like the Pro Bowl of every kind of instrumentalist, every kind of vocalist, every kind of writer ever, all just squeeze into one city. The sheer amount of talent in that city, above all others in my experience, is just staggering. But I landed in Nashville and ended up getting I was working construction briefly before a buddy of mine who was super free-spirited, if you will, ended up somehow or another talking his way into a job as a professional ballroom dancer, and somehow he persuaded me to go along with him and do it, which I did, and he ended up leaving, but I stayed with it for a year. And so I danced. I was a dancer. I was a ballroom dancer for a while, which was fun. Taught me how to move. The last thing on earth that I thought I would ever be doing, but there I was, tangoing across the floor. But after about a year, I had a kind of a come to Jesus meeting with myself and said, "Hey, this is not why I moved to Nashville. Scott, come on, man." And so I quit, and I just concentrated on music. The whole time I was doing that, music was my main focus, of course, but I didn't have the time or the hours to commit to it like I wanted and really like I needed to do if I was going to have any kind of success. So I started going out to writers' nights every night. A writers' night or a writers' round is where songwriters would get together with 3 or 4 of them at a time, get up on stage and take turns singing songs. I would go to a lot of amateur writers' nights where I would play. And I'd go to a lot of professional writers' nights where a lot of the main songwriters in Nashville at the time, this is the 2000s, the mid and the late 2000s, would get together for the public and play the hits that the public heard on the radio, the current ones and the ones from the past that they had written for other artists. And I just started, talking to them all, trying to make friends with them, trying to figure out where to go, how to get my foot in the door. And some of them were great and gracious. Some of them were, pick your own expletive here, fill in the blank. But one in particular took a shine to me, and that was Harley Allen. And he kind of became my mentor in terms of the guitar, in terms of bluegrass, in terms of writing, in terms of everything, really. I really kind of found who I was initially, musically speaking, through Harley. And we were working together, and after about 6 months, I found my way into a publishing deal with Amylase, which is great people, awesome people, awesome talent. And I had some cuts, and it was in the midst of all that I realized I wasn't completely, I'll call it fulfilled, just for lack of a better term, musically speaking. And as God would have it, I found my way into the world of rock and roll. And I had some opportunities in the world of rock that kind of presented themselves that led me to putting together a rock band, a psychedelic blues rock band called Zen Rising out in Nashville. And we recorded an album, a 10-song album, played a number of shows, started having some success with it with, I forget the main rock station. I think it was 105.3. Man, I don't know. Don't hold me to that. Whatever the rock station was in Nashville in the mid-2000s. Started having some success with that song on there, and moved to L.A. So I bought a 1990 or 91 40-foot Fleetwood Bounder, and we sold everything we had. I bought that and a Yukon it was like a 2004 Yukon, and we took the drive shaft off of it, underneath it, and attached it to the back of the Fleetwood Bounder and drove out to California, drove to L.A. This giant RV pulling the Yukon behind it, and landed there. And we just kind of lived on the beach there for a handful of months, and pretty much wherever we could. And arguably the best time in my life. And we started playing. We started playing the Cat Club back when that was a thing. It used to be called the London Fog back in the days of Jim Morrison. And made our way over to the Whiskey. Started playing the Whiskey regularly. And started playing the Roxy. I don't even remember if we played the Key Club or not. That used to be Gazzari's. I don't know. We played the House of Blues, Viper Room, all that good stuff. And started having a lot of success. And won an L.A. Music Award for a song of ours, the one that probably arguably got us the most success, in 2000. And that was called Heaven in Your Eyes.
You want
to go ahead? That was really our first taste of success, our first taste of notoriety. And man, it was a whirlwind at the time.
Let's give the listeners a taste of that one. Here's Heaven in Your Eyes from Zen Rising. back with you on WHYS, the Bears Den. I am Gary Poppa Bear Schmaltz, and we are speaking to Scott Foster Harris, and we're going to pick up the story where we had his first bigger hit from Zen Rising. We just played Heaven in Your Eyes, and Scott, why don't you take her on from there?
Dun, dun, dun. That was my descending piano run. After Heaven, I'll just put it that way, and we won the LA Music Award. Oddly enough, went to the MTV Los Premios Music Awards in 2009. Man, that was such a fun time. I guess life just got in the way, and we started. There were four of us in the band. There was me, and there was Steve-O, the guitar player, who was just the best musician ever. He'd just play everything. He could play everything better than everybody. It was crazy. There's Cody, who was the bass player. Great, great dude. And Buddy, who was an outstanding drummer. But Buddy had a kid, which was great. But it started kind of taking his... It just pulled him away from the band. And that and a whole variety of different life issues that you've heard so often in different band sagas caused the band to disband. And when I say disband, I mean basically just Buddy left. And we ended up, we thought we needed to give it a run without Buddy. And so we worked that out. Found another drummer. He was great. But it just wasn't that same magic. Sometimes you just get the right people together and it's just got the right vibe. And we resumed talks with some labels. Our manager was rocking and rolling. And the labels wanted they wanted the original four because they had seen us initially with Buddy. And we thought that it made sense to bring him back in, and just work out the difficulties. So we called him, brought him back in. I wish we didn't, but we did. And so the original four were back together. And unfortunately, our manager was just rocking and rolling. He was so good at it. And something happened in his life, and that completely put a brake on him, on everything that he was doing. So he couldn't exercise his efforts on our behalf the same way that he was due to personal issues, which was a big bummer. And we started having issues again with the personnel, and we just finally just said, man, that's it. We just can't do it anymore. And I thought for a while, I guess that's not right. We actually never officially disbanded. We just stopped. After our last show, I think it was in Anaheim, in maybe like 2011 or late 2010, I just couldn't do it anymore because of all the issues, because of the personal issues, and so we just stopped. During that time, back in early 2009, there was a rehearsal studio that we were rehearsing at, and Tracy Guns of Guns N' Roses and LA Guns wanted to put together a Led Zeppelin tribute band, and the owner, or not the owner, but the main manager of this particular rehearsal studio, I think it was called Nightingale, if memory serves. I think Jay was the manager's name, but recommended me, and Jay called me and asked me if I wanted to come in and audition. I said, yeah, sure. And it was Tracy on guitar, it was Robbie Crane from Rat on bass, and Brian Tishy, drummer for Foreigner, and everybody else in the world on drums. He was basically just Bonzo reincarnated times 10. And he could play guitar better than everybody. And then me. And so we jammed a bit. Everything worked out. We became friends. I think later Robbie got really busy, I think with Rat, and was replaced by Phil Soussan for a while. And we just never, we called ourselves Shred Zeppelin, but we just never played any shows. We got together, we did the Zepp thing, we even made a little video, and we just never record or played any shows. But what that did do was Tracy and I became close. And in like mid-2009, I did a little run with him and a couple other guys, Chad Stewart from LA Guns, now Faster Pussycat, and I can't remember the gentleman's name on bass, but we called ourselves, just off the top of our heads, League of Gentlemen, just for fun. And went out and played, the set consisted of a bunch of LA Guns songs, maybe a Guns N' Roses song, I don't remember, a couple of Tracy's songs from Brides of Destruction and Contraband, and just a handful of songs that we all loved, classic rock songs. Had a blast, had a great time. So if you want to say, that was the very first tour of League of Gentlemen. And he was toying with the notion of me doing the fronting LA Guns for him back then. We joked about it, but didn't do it we didn't do it in '09 because the singer at the time, I think, was Marty Casey, and just a great guy, great frontman, great guy. But later, a year or so later, when Tracy learned that Zen had broken up for the last time, he called me and asked me if I wanted to do the LA Guns thing with him. I said, sure. It's like, great, we're going to Europe next. So I just kind of had to swallow all the LA Guns songs, and then we formed that version of the band. LA Guns has gone through a lot of members, and we did that. And that was, we toured Europe, we came back to America, toured America, and we did that off and on. But during that time, during the LA Guns time, we got serious about the League of Gentlemen, and so we started composing a lot of original material, and half the time we would go out on tours, we would go out as the League instead of as the Guns, and consisted of the same members at the time. And Donnie Gray was on drums, and Johnny Martin was on bass, and I think he's still with them on bass. I think he still plays with the Guns. Great dude, great people, just wonderful people. And we started we started touring as the League of Gentlemen, and then Johnny left for a while, and we brought in Patches, Craig McCloskey on bass, and John Bird on keys. And man, we were so good. We had so much fun. But we put together lots of original material, lots of original songs. And during, I'll call it maybe the spring of 2012, we recorded a record. Spring and the summer of 2012, we recorded the record, which we ended up just calling the first record. And everything on there is original, except that there's a couple of songs. There's an old, like, Zeppelin outtake called Sugar Mama that's not ours. I know there's one other, at least, that's not ours. And then Mitch Davis wrote Everything, Everything, which was a really cool tune. That one's not ours, but that one's on the first record.
Yeah.
The first record of the League of Gentlemen, that is. We never recorded anything with that lineup with LA Guns, but with the League, yeah, man, that was a fun record to make.
And that album led off with the Everything, Everything song. Do you want to go ahead and we'll play that right now? We'll come back and talk some more about the touring and stuff that you guys did.
Does it on her own. Hey!
Poppa Bear, Gary Schmaltz, back with you on WHYS, The Bears Den, and we have Scott Foster Harris in studio, and we had just been talking about the first album, and that was a song we played from that, and you guys were together for quite some time doing that, so do you want to pick up where we left off on that story?
Yeah, we were. In fact, that whole first album, roughly half of it, we recorded in the Mothership, that Steve Vai's old studio in Hollywood. Great studio, a lot of it on tape. And Greg Worth, engineering, just a magnificent engineer. And the other half, I'll just call it half and half just for fun. We recorded, the tracking parts, we recorded them in just random hotel rooms and barns and bars and hallways and wherever we could while we were on tour in America during that whole year. And that's where we tracked a lot of the parts, a lot of the vocals, a lot of the guitars, just a lot of everything. I remember setting up in this little room, no bigger than like a large master bedroom closet, and setting up Donnie's drums and getting just a couple of mics, literally just one over him and one in front of the kick, and recording the drums. I forget which song, just like that. And then that ended up being the drums we used on the record. I think Greg might have bounced into tape first, but for whichever song that was. But it was like that. We just recorded it, half of it just hardcore professional style, and the other half guerrilla style. And then Greg mixed it all, mastered it all in the Mothership on that super old API board, which is awesome. Which is why it just sounds like that. It just sounds thick and old. But while we were doing that, while we were on tour, we went to Europe, which is always fun. And every time that we would go to Europe, we would go through Vienna, Austria. And I just fell in love with that city. It was just a special, special, special city. I called it Europe's best-kept big city secret, because no one really thinks of Vienna really anymore when you say Europe. But it is as European as it gets. It's the heart of what it means to be European in my mind. It's a big city, but it's quaint and I dare say romantic, cosmopolitan at the same time, and just easy. It's just an easy, awesome place to live, and I loved it. There's brand new coffee shops and 1,000-year-old buildings next to each other, and that's just normal. And it was just a wonderful place. And so, during one of our last American tour, which was at the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, Tracy got a massive gig in Vegas for a new show that was opening called Raiding the Rock Vault. He was going to be the guitar player. And it just, financially, it made sense for him to do that. But that meant that we, both the Guns and the League, really weren't going to be making any money. We weren't going to have an income for at least a year, which I think was what his contract was at the time. And of course, this whole time I'm still in touch with Steve-O from Zen and Cody from Zen. Buddy and I kind of lost touch over the years, which makes me sad because I love Buddy. But Steve-O and I and Cody and I are still in touch. But it didn't make sense for me to try to get that going again, and I wasn't going to have anything to do with LA Guns or with the League for a year, and we weren't really going to get to support our first record nearly as hard as I wanted to, because this sudden gig opportunity come up for Tracy, which again made sense financially for him. Not for us, but for him. And so I just thought, well, I've always wanted to go live in Europe for a while, and I love Vienna, having toured through there so often. We toured through a lot of places, but Vienna was always my favorite. So I just decided I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to leave LA, and I'm going to go live in Vienna for a little while, maybe 6 months, just experience it. And I moved over there, and I stayed for half a decade, just because that city is awesome. But while we were there, Tracy got in touch with me, said everybody wanted to make a second record. The first one did well, and so I agreed. I was like, yeah, let's do it. But he was still doing his thing in Vegas. Donnie, Patches, and John, they had things going, and I'm in Europe. And I wanted to, write another album, but everybody didn't think it was really going to be feasible because we were in different parts of the country, and we all didn't have a lot of time on our hands. During that time, I had kind of this blues-funk trio that I put together for fun out here in Vienna. I had a number of musical projects in Vienna. But so everybody just decided to basically do an album of mainly covers. And it ended up being an album exclusively covers. I'll say covers. I'll call it tributes because they all have a very unique spin on them. But songs that were some of our favorites, we all got to throw a few in the hat during that time. And we recorded the whole second album on different continents. So Tracy recorded a lot in Vegas. I think he also went and recorded a bit in L.A. Patches also recorded a bit in Vegas and L.A. John and Donnie did their parts in L.A. And I did all my parts, all the vocal parts, in the studio in Austria, in Vienna. And then once again, Greg Worth from the Mothership, just a talented engineer, mixer, took all these files that were just Frankenstein together from two different continents and threw them into that old magical API board and spent a lot of time with it, from what I understand, and put together the second album. And if memory serves, the only song on that second album that's not a tribute is Anywhere We Want To, by, also, oddly enough, penned by the incredibly talented Mitch Davis. His songs have a very special feel to them. They have like a signature feel, a signature sound, and it's been a blast working with him, singing some of his songs. But oddly, let me backpedal just a sec. I went to L.A. I flew to L.A. in 2014, like the spring of 2014. And I think that was the only song whose vocals I cut in L.A. in a studio that Tracy put together. And I cut them on, I couldn't even tell you what kind of microphone this was. It looked like an old broadcaster's microphone from the 50s, long and skinny. It looked like a slimline microphone with really unique connections. It might have just been an off-brand mic. It was really, really old, from the 50s. Just a silly dynamic mic, but man, it sounded cool on that song. And so that's the mic that I recorded all the vocals on for that song. It's just really raw and kind of manic sounding. A lot of high-end, not a lot of low-end, but really not a lot of high-end either. A lot of high mids and a lot of mids, really just punchy and growly. And we recorded that song there. And then I went back to Vienna, of course.
Oh, sure.
where I continued live for years.
Let's go ahead and play that song that you were just talking about.
Okay.
And what was the name of that one again?
That was called Anywhere We Want To, from the second album from the League of Gentlemen.
Okay, here we go with the Tracy Guns League of Gentlemen.
Hey girl, let's take a little trip and rock around the world. Hey kid, hey mama, let's take a little ride, go anywhere. take a little walk and rock it up the hill. Hey sister, hey brother, let's take it all around and keep it undercover. We can go, can't make us stay. We never liked it here anyway. I'm gonna go, I'll be on my way. I never liked it much anyway. I'm gonna go anywhere I want to. I'm gonna go anywhere I want to. I'm gonna go anywhere I want to. I'm gonna go.
Back with you in WHYS. I am Gary Poppa Bear Schmaltz, and we have Scott Foster Harris in studio today speaking about his career and his future projects and present projects and past projects. And we were left off after the Tracy Guns League of Gentlemen. And if you want to pick up from there again.
Man, just a lot of projects. A lot of different projects in life. So after we recorded the second album, we never even toured to support that second album because I was living in Vienna, and Tracy had his Vegas thing, and we kind of just made the album and released it on Shrapnel out here and located in Vegas, as with the first one, and we never really toured to support it just because our lives were just in other places. I think we all just kind of grew out of it and grew on to other things. Now I know that Tracy's reunited finally with Phil. And so they finally have the as original as you can get-ish to the original lineup of the Guns back. Just as with Guns N' Roses kind of has most of the original lineup back. But anyway, so I'm enjoying my life in Vienna. It's an easy life. It was a fun life. I'd mentioned I had kind of a blues funk trio that we put together out there that was just kind of unnamed, even though we recorded a double massive album, which I never released for reasons I'll explain later, perhaps. But another kind of band or little mini project I got involved with while I was out there was just for fun, just some friends of mine, some good dudes, that had an Austrian rock band that was called Easy. And they just asked me, say, hey, do you want to, I don't know if they were having trouble with the original singer, or not sure what it was, if the singer left or if they were having issues or what, but the original singer departed or was removed, one of the two, but a great guy, really nice guy. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't working out. And they asked me if I wanted to do it, and I just thought, you know what? Why not? It's fine. The whole band's in place. All I have to do is just learn a couple of their songs and write a handful of new songs with them. Sure, why not? It'll be fun. And great musicians, just really great musicians. The band was really just kind of, it was just a rock band. You know, it wasn't like a funk rock band or a blues rock band or anything like that. It was just really, I'd say they were very Guns N' Roses inspired. Guns N' Roses and maybe even a little bit of Motley Crue inspired. I always found the psychedelic and the bluesy aspects more attractive, but they were just a rock band. And I came in and we put together a couple of new songs and recorded a few for fun. One of those being, as you mentioned to me on the phone, Sexistentialism. It was a lot of fun.
Let's give the viewers a taste of that song then, and then we'll move on from there, because you've got quite a bit more things to talk about here on WHYS.
Yeah, I'm getting into the good stuff finally. I had to give the background. Now I'm starting to get into the good stuff.
Okay. Here's Easy from about, 2015 or so.
Yeah.
Back with you at WHYS, the Bears Den, with Gary Poppa Bear Schmaltz, and we do have Scott Foster Harris speaking with us today from Dallas, Texas.
Yes,
is that correct? Yes, sir. I thought that's where you ended up in your life. Okay, so that was just one of the projects, and then from then on, your story takes a dramatic turn.
It does, and an awesome turn at that. So Easy was fun. Easy was a thing for a little while, for giggles, and guys were great. But I was, as I mentioned a couple of times, I had a blues funk rock trio out there. So I had this old Stratocaster from '72, and which I still have. And the bass player, his name was Paulus Unterweger, Austrian, one of the best bass players in the world. Just so tasteful. He just had it, man. And awesome to watch on stage. And then we had Ari Tihonen from Finland on drums. He was living in Vienna also. One of the best drummers out there. Just those two guys. I would listen to album after album of just Paulie and Ari playing rhythm. Just drums and bass. They just had that thing. Awesome guys. Love them, still in touch with them. And then there was me. I was playing the Strat and singing. And man, we were really bluesy, really funky, really rocky. It was just a really cool vibe. And we recorded a double album in several studios in Vienna. One of them was this studio in this underground cellar that looks like when you walk down into it, it looks like something initially you'd see in a horror flick or like Saw or something. It's just really weird. But when you get to the musical part of it, it's awesome. And this cat named Michael had finished out everything and had a really, really great studio down below this mega art complex in the heart of Old Vienna. And as it turned out, one evening while we were working there in the studio, there was a big lounge area, and Lisa Marie Schalk, a redhead rock star, was a front woman for a rock band out there in Vienna at the time. And we just kind of happened to cross paths in that lounge area in this studio underneath what was called the Wook. I didn't know her, she didn't know me, but we crossed paths and got each other's attention. And over the next few months, we got to a point where you know what, I'm going to get her on the phone. Hang on. I got her here with me. And the reason that I have her here with me is because I married her. Hey, sweetie, you want to say hi? Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. Gary, can you hear us?
You bet.
Hello.
You
I'm
bet.
here now.
Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
So I want you to correct me if I mess this story up.
Okay. Teamwork.
So we crossed paths in the studio, and then over the next couple of months, we ended up deciding to work together, to make music together, because I really liked her vibe. He's a classically trained violinist with his 200-year-old violin, and just this super cool vibe. Long red hair. She looks like... Who is that redheaded girl in X-Men?
I don't know. I
don't
thought
know
Lord
either.
of the Rings.
Maybe, yeah, that was like kind of a redheaded elf type girl. I could see that, 100%. Anyway, I had this old Martin from 1951, Glenn Campbell's old Martin guitar, and she and I decided to do, while she still had her band, I still had my blues funk trio. We just for fun, we were going to put together this little acoustic act where I played this guitar, this old guitar, she played this old violin, and we were going to harmonize every single word, every lyric. And that was the original idea, and we went through a couple of different names, but we landed on Orchids Bloom, like the flower orchid.
Beautiful.
And we just said yes. And this project it started acoustic, right?
It started just the two of us, yeah. Just violin and guitar and our vocals. That was it.
Just violin,
Yeah.
guitar, and vocals. That was it. And man, it just, after we recorded just a couple of songs, and we just thought, man, it sounds great, but wouldn't like a little bass line behind that sound really good?
Yeah, and some drums and
Some bongo drums.
yeah, and a little more rock because it's both
And-
Scott and I love rock.
Yeah,
so,
man,
yeah.
and it just grew into this. Now it's just a full-blown rock machine, but the original intention was just to be this old school acoustic folk rock type thing, and now we have electric guitars all over it, full-blown drum sets, all kinds of instruments. I mean, it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But I got ahead of it. Anyway, we started working together. We started putting that music together, and I decided if we were going to take this project seriously, commercially speaking, then it would make sense to go back to America, because that's kind of, now in 2021, you don't really have to do that. But I thought back in 2016, you probably didn't have to do that then either, but I thought we did, so we did. And so we moved to America, moved to Texas. I'm originally from Texas. I'm a native Texan. And we started building out this whole project. We started putting together the catalog of songs. We wrote 4 albums worth of songs and recorded an album. But due to the weird nature of this, due to the nature of us starting acoustic and then adding instruments and adding instruments and adding instruments and doing this, the feel of this was growing, so we would have to go back and update songs and completely trash songs and re-record them, right?
Yeah, we went through a lot of transitions, actually, the last year.
We sure did, man.
Very adventurous, for sure.
And now I'd say we're probably, with the first album, which we've been working on for a number of years now because we keep having to go back and revamp it due to all the changes, I'd say we're probably 80% done with the first album.
But the last 20% take the longest.
They really do.
It's also because we're doing our photography and our videos pretty much on our own. I mean, we had some very nice video shoot last year with a good buddy of ours. He's from Austria, and that was amazing. But we do also enjoy doing it ourselves because it's very. We both love to learn and always, getting inspired with our own art. So we really have joy in that. It's just a lot of work and it just takes longer. So, but it's okay.
So artsy.
Oh.
Yeah, we do a lot of photos. We do a lot of videography. In fact, we have a handful of videos, like actual music. We have a lot of videos. We have 5 or maybe 6 actual music videos that are out there that you can hear on YouTube, for example. I would, if you want to see that, I would recommend youtube.com/orchidsbloom, orchids like the flowers, and you can see a bunch of stuff. But
band, otherwise you get flowers or orchids.
No, that's just like in the search.
Gotcha.
If we don't have enough videos out there to really rank high on the search engine. So if you were just to type in orchids bloom like in regular search, you'll probably end up just getting a bunch of videos with a bunch of flowers. But if you type in Orchids Bloom Band, or if you do youtube.com/orchidsbloom, you'll actually come to us. And you'll definitely know us because we're different than a bunch of flowers. But the songs themselves are they're like in demo mode.
Right.
I would say they're very much in demo mode, just with some really cool videos behind them. Fun, a lot of fun. Anyway, so our life, we ended up, Lisa came back with me in the end of 2016, and in the late spring of 2017, we ended up getting married because we'd fallen in love.
Oh, yes, we did.
That was the thing. So now we're married machine. And we bounced around the country a bit. We just finally got back to Texas a few months ago and just got into a new house. And in this house, we're setting up a studio up in the media room. And in this studio, we will finish the album, the first album.
I'm so excited.
And then we've got another 1 or 2 or 3 to follow up real quick because, we've already got them written.
Right.
But of those songs, Gary, you had mentioned to me a song called I See God, and you can find that song online as well. That's one of the videos we made for it. It's a really fun video. We shot it out in Vegas.
Yes, it was fun.
Out in the desert in Vegas. So much fun. But, I think that song is going to lead off the album once it's finally finished, I See God.
Okay, let's go ahead and play that. I want to thank Lisa for joining us today as well, right off the bat.
Absolutely, man.
Sounds good.
Let's play that. I do have the official music video audio part here for us. So let's play some Orchard's Bloom and I See God.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Except when you're with me, my arms are open. Come now and set me free. I wanna taste your spirit as it comes in bloom. Yeah. I'm almost home. When I look up on your face, I see God. Yet in this instant I see you led me home and you showed me I can believe in salvation. Finally I'm a brand new man. Dipped in your river, I'm in the waters, stay freed and delivered. I'm on my knees as I pray for your blessing. At last I've been born again.
The Just Local Food Cooperative is a community-owned, full-service, natural and organic grocery store open and welcoming to everyone. Located in downtown Eau Claire at 1117 South Farwell Street, Just Local Food supports the area economy by featuring local and organic foods. Store hours are from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. They can be reached by phone at 715-552-3366 or on the web at justlocalfood.coop. Just local food. Join the movement.
Back in studio with Scott Foster Harris, and we're just going to talk a little bit more about Orchards Bloom.
Heck yeah. As you can hear, that was drastically different from the from the folk acoustic guitar, acoustic violin idea that kicked the whole project off. It grew into a rock monster. But that's okay. That's just how it is. Now, check this out about that song. I had mentioned on multiple occasions, this blues, funk, rock trio I had in Vegas. So Paulie and Ari, those are the drums and the bass you hear on that song. Not all of our songs, but on that one in particular, because that song itself was originally one of those trio songs. And we have since decided we're going to take all the trio songs. Paulie and Ari are stoked about this. They're 100% on board, and we're going to bring them on board as soon as we can. Whenever we start touring, they're our band. But so we're taking all these songs that I had written for the trio, and we're taking that whole vibe, that whole band, and that is the rhythm section for all this new stuff. So the first couple of albums that we have, it's going to be mixed with other songs that I had written exclusively for Orchids, mixed with these songs that I had written for the trio, but now that we're recording for Orchids. So it's just a really cool just a really, really neat amalgamation. That one's not as funky as some of the other ones, as bouncy, but it's really just groove. It's just groove rock. And I'm 100% on board with that. And those guys are great. Story behind that song. But I said we never released that album, that trio album, and that's why, because we're actually going to redo these songs as Orchids Bloom. And that was the first one. We got a lot more. Other songs you'll find on some of our social and on YouTube. In fact, all the ones that you'll find, I think, are other songs that I had written exclusively for Orchids, but we have a lot of both on each. Anyway, to cap that off, closing statements, youtube.com/orchidsbloom, or you can search for us on Instagram or all the normal stuff, whatever those are, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Just search for us. You'll find us. We're there. Anyway, so while during the last few years, we were in California a bit, we were in Nevada and Vegas a bit, and now we're back in Texas. But right before we went out to California again, I got involved singing in the studio for other people as a work for hire. I had done a lot of session vocals in the past. While I was living in Vienna, while I was in LA, I did a lot of work, and I just kind of got involved again doing session vocals. When was that? 2018, the end of 2018, before we left to go to LA. And it's a lot easier nowadays because I don't have to go to any particular studio to do it. I have acquired a bunch of really, really great old school analog gear, some great preamps, some great 1073s, a couple of APIs, a lot of good Neve stuff, an LA2A, some 1176s, an old U87, a U67, a U47, etc. I got a lot of really cool.
It sounds so much warmer and analog.
Gear. And now people are hiring me from all over the world on sites like soundbetter.com and Air Gigs and a few other ones. But SoundBetter really is the main one. People are hiring me to sing their songs, or write their songs and sing their songs, or just write their songs, or whatever it is. But mainly, present myself as a vocalist. And that's kind of, during this whole pandemic thing, that was my main gig. I just sang every day. I was in the studio, my studio, the one I had in Vegas, recording these other people's songs. And now that we're here in Dallas, I've built a media room out into, I'm almost done, building the media room out into a studio. It's perfect. And we got everything set up, mitigated the sound, great vocal area. It's just, you can get world-class sound in this place. And I'm recording people's songs. One of those, the one that you like a lot, was from a young man who goes by the handle of Boom Kitty. He makes kind of electronic rock music. He makes a variety of electronic type music, but we've done several songs together, and I think he's only released one of them so far. There's another one or two, I can't remember. I think maybe just one other one that he hasn't released yet. But one of those like really hard rock, electronic rock songs is for one of his projects called Boom Slayer. And it's almost kind of like a video game, electronic rock type thing. But Boom Kitty, probably the client on Sound Better, I can't say that. One of the clients on Sound Better with a lot of notoriety that I've sang for was Boom Kitty. And Boom Slayer was his most recent release with me on it. And I can't speak highly enough of him, great guy. I can't speak highly enough of this service. This service is changing the way that people make music. People are hiring people from all over the world. They're getting onto soundbetter.com, and they're hiring singers, they're hiring vocalists, they're hiring people to write, they're hiring producers, Grammy-winning producers. They're hiring engineers, world-class level of engineers. They're hiring instrumentalists, guitar players, drums. They're creating their song from an idea to a finished master with some of the world's best in all music creation capacities from start to finish, all across the world, all online. And it's really opened up just a world of music creation that didn't exist just a couple of years ago. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. I get a lot of work. I sing a lot of songs on this particular site, especially Sound Better. And there's a handful of them now. I think I mentioned Eric is one. There's a few other ones. But wow, what a musical revolution! What a musical revolution for the creative-minded individual. Highly recommended. Anyway, Boom Kitty, Boom Slayer, a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's go ahead and play that one.
Cool.
Yeah, here we go with Boom Kitty and Boom Slayer.
Guns are blazing, hell on earth and death.
that was Boom Kitty, and back in studio on WHYS, the Bears Den, with Gary Poppa Bear Schmaltz, and we have Scott Foster Harris in studio speaking with us today. And the next thing we are going to talk about here is another project that you're deeply involved with, a very noble project, and it's a vision of Anthony Albanese's. And if you'd like to tell us the name of that and expound on all the people that are being involved and what's its goals are.
Yeah. So this is a project, a buddy who started off initially as a client from Sound Better, who turned into a buddy, a friend, and now I consider him a brother, all within the span of just a handful of months. Anthony Albanese he approached me on Sound Better, found me on Sound Better, and approached me with the idea of the Zugu project, Z-U-G-U project. And right from the get-go, he explained to me his visions behind this project and what he wanted it to represent. And Anthony, he suffers, he'll be the first to tell you, suffers from schizophrenia. And he wants to bring mental illness awareness to as many people as possible through a variety of the arts, including music, which is how he and I originally got in contact. That's what brought us together. And he contacted me. This was back in, maybe December. I want to say November or December, perhaps, of 2020. And said who he was, explained his vision, and asked if I'd be interested. And I'm like, absolutely. And it is dear, mental illness is dear to my heart, because I have a handful, maybe not quite a handful, but of friends over the years, close friends, who have suffered from a variety of different types of mental illness. And I dare say even some of it is in my family. I've seen it. And so when Anthony approached me and he told me about what he deals with and what he wanted to do, I immediately identified with him in terms of what he goes through. And I identified with him in terms of wanting to just spread awareness, to bring awareness to it, and to maybe help erase the stigma that's associated with so many of the words that go along with mental illness. Even that word itself, mental illness. There are societal stigmas that accompany such words. When I say schizophrenia, there's a societal stigma that accompanies that I find to be a shame. I find it sad because they're not. What's the best way to say it? The stigmas only serve to hurt and bring down those suffering from it. And I think Hollywood's, over the years, capitalized on such things, just as they have, like for example, with religious ideas. They've capitalized on these, and because of that, societal stigmas have resulted. So Anthony wanted to bring as much awareness to this as he could to as many people as possible for the sake of not only bringing awareness, but negating those stigmas, kind of breaking those stigmas down. And I was totally on board. And so we've done a number of songs together, some of which, all of which he put the music together for, and some of which, probably half of which, just ballparking, he wrote the lyrics all to also. And half of which, at least the ones he's done with me, I wrote the lyrics to. And he has other singers and other musicians and other musicians of all stripes involved in this project. It's not just he and I. I'm a part of it with him. Anthony is the brain behind it. He's the heart behind it. He's the soul behind it. I'm just happy and honored and blessed just to accompany him and just be a part of it. Because and so is everybody else that's involved. We're we're all just blessed to be a part of it along with him.
Yeah, there's a number
And
of people.
I like to think that everybody involved in this believes in it just as much as we do, and is really as passionate about spreading awareness of mental illness as much as we are.
And our number of artists and the labels and stuff that are becoming attached to this project is phenomenal, and it's growing by the week.
Hey, Gary, you know what? I think you faded out there for a second, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I hear you perfect now.
Yeah, okay. Here, let's go ahead and play one of these songs from the Zugu Project. That's ZUGU for everyone to look up and find out what they're about.
Okay.
And it's one that, of course, that you are singing in. It's called Skit Splits.
On song.
Let's play that one right now.
Perfect.
In a moment, defying the odds, plus your chest and arms. It's a bonds and fierce workout for action that brings with the voice. Full immune boost yet. Airborne Doom action. It has powerful antioxidants.
Hardy County Sheriff James Ford, the leader of that
We're in a long lost world, wayward and wandering out of space and time. The cosmic capital, never decoupled from below the spine. Sometimes I hear it said I'm crazy. Sometimes I think that might be
back in studio at WHYS, Gary Poppa Bear Schmaltz, and we have Scott Foster Harris back with us. And we were talking about Zugu yet. What else would you like to say about the project?
Man, that's just a cool song, such a special song. I think we might actually get one more played for you guys in a minute, but I got to say, whenever we're still in the throes of recording that particular project, and as I mentioned earlier, Anthony's the brains behind it. He's the engine, the heart and soul. He's just steering the ship on this one. But we're working with Phil Taylor from Rock Solid Talent Entertainment. And when the project is finally finished, when it's all recorded, it's going to be massive. And I'll dare say ongoing. But when it's finally recorded, it's going to be coming out on Rock Solid Talent Entertainment with Phil Taylor. Phil is just a rock star in every sense of the word. He's as good a guy as they come. He's as professional as they come. He is as capable and competent as they come, and he is as passionate about every project he has, every song he releases, every song that comes out on his label. It's really great to see a label owner as passionate about each project as he is. And he's a legend. Phil's a legend. Everybody knows Phil. But it was through Anthony that Anthony was working with Phil, and I had never met him. And it was through Anthony that Phil and I got together. And now, so we have Zugu coming out with Phil. When the Orchids Bloom album is finished, all of that album and all of those singles, those are going to be coming out with Phil. And pretty much any other projects any of us get going, he's my first stop. Just a rock star of a guy, amazing individual. And actually, Gary, he's the one that brought us together. Phil
That's
actually
right.
brought you and I together for the interview today. So I have to give Phil a shout-out today. And I have to give Anthony a shout-out today. I don't know if he'll ever hear this, but you're a very special person, brother. I'm happy and honored to be working with you on this. And Phil, I'm very happy and honored to be working with you on all of our projects. And even though the wifey's here with me, I got to give another shout out to Lisa Marie, my wife. Happy and honored to be working with you on our project. I got to say, man, I've done a lot of musical projects in my life, but I am probably most excited about these two, Zugu and Orchids Bloom, especially those two, than any that I've done so far. I'm pumped up to see what the future holds for both of these. I think they're both very special. Very different, very special.
And you can keep us in track with everything that's happening in a later show, perhaps.
Would love to.
Yeah, we would love that as
Would
well.
love to.
And I'd
We'll
also
get
like
Lisa
to thank
talk
Phil
more
and
next
Rock
time,
Solid.
'cause she's much more interesting to listen to than I am, I dare say.
And I'd also like to thank Phil Taylor and Rock Solid Talent Entertainment for putting us together today, and for everything he's doing with Zugo Project, which is a very noble new non-profit agency. Let's play another one that you did on that. What's the name and the background on this next song?
I would love to. So the first one we heard, Skid Split, I wrote those lyrics. I put those lyrics together with Anthony. This one, the next one, Blackjack Number 9, that's pure Anthony, man. He just came at me and said, "Hey, I've got this song. Do you like it?" And I listened to it. I was like, "Yes, I love it." He's like, "Awesome." So we recorded this one. So I didn't write this one with him, but I sure had a great time tracking it. It's called Blackjack Number 9.
Okay, let's play that, and then we'll be back for one more sign-out period then, okay?
Sweet.
Thank you.
end up low. Blackjack, where you at? Blackjack, come on back. I wake up in a swim. I try to make it through. Blackjack's coming down too fast. Where you at? Looking for a fool. Blackjack might be me. Come on back. Come on back. Blackjack, come on back. I always end up low. I always end up low, low. He's coming down too fast and he's looking for a fool. Might be me. Might be you. Might be. I can't feel my face when I'm with you. I can't feel my face when I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I wake up in a sweat and I don't know what to do. I look behind my back and I try to make it through. Sometimes I'm a creeper and I'm feeling kind of slow. I try to stay too high, but I always end up low. I always end up low. I always end up low, low, low. I always end up low. I always end up low, low, low. Blackjack, come on back. Blackjack, come on back. Blackjack, come on back.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.
And back with you on WHYS, the Bears Den, with Papa Gary Schmaltz. And we also have Scott Foster Harris here. And we're going to have one more thing in case we missed anything. You got anything else for us, Scott?
Man, I think just thanks are in order. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you to Phil for setting this up. Thank you to Anthony for just being such a great person, inspiring us all. Thank you to Lisa Marie for making music with me. I can tell you guys, or rather, I would advise if you want to see more on the Zugu project, just Google it. Look up Zugu. I don't know any of the handles off the top of my head, which ones are set up or not, as it's still such a new project. But I would Google Zugu project if you want to look more into that. If you want to look into Orchids Bloom, as I'd mentioned, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. Orchids Bloom or Orchids Bloom Official. You'll find us there. Or YouTube.com/Orchids Bloom. I know that one for sure. You can find a lot about us there. I would recommend checking out, I'd recommend looking up Phil Taylor. I'd recommend looking up Rock Solid Talent Entertainment. Just Google it, or I think it's just rocksolidtalententertainment.com. Go there, check out those sites. You can see the roster, his growing roster of artists that he's working with. some great names, a lot of great music, a variety of different types of music, and
there is a tab for
all
the Zugo project
recommended, worth
on that
looking at.
website.
Hey, say that last part again.
I said there is a tab for Zugo project right on the Rock Solid Talent Entertainment website.
Oh, great! That'll take you.
And I'll tell you
okay,
some more
great.
about
Right
it
on
and the whole
homepage.
project and the
Yep,
whole
that's
vision
a quick way to
and-
do it. That's a quick way to learn more about Zugo.
Where it's
Highly
going.
recommend it if anybody's interested in learning more about that.
And I think it also mentions some of the other like Grammy winners that are involved in the project as well.
Yep, there's a lot of heavy hitters.
So I want to thank
Honored to
you
be a part of
and
it.
Lisa and Phil and Anthony today for joining us. And it was a very great interview. So appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, man. It was
Yep.
my pleasure.
Yep, bye-bye.
WHYS LP Eau Claire.